We were lucky to have started with Iceland, because Iceland has become effectively the cornerstone of FlyFisherGroup. It's a variable, adjustable trip that we can virtually guarantee people have a wonderful time, productive fishing. And they can take that adventure year after year from the south to the north to the northeast and experience something different time after time after time. It's a beautiful country with volcanoes, with glaciers. The rivers are beautiful, they're pristine, they're clear. It's full of interesting people with exciting histories and even more exciting folklore. There's always some variety to introduce to your fishing armoury, your technique. There's something to learn at every stage. It's certainly a place that captured our imagination. There's a never-ending rich seam of different fishing experiences to have in one place, which is just 2.5 hours north of here.
Laxå in Grilse is 2 rivers, Bugda and Laxå itself. Bugda is a little bit smaller one, has a bit of brown trout as well, but what the Grilse has on top of the salmon is the sea trout, and they can get big up to 12-14 pounds, and you catch them on nymphs and dry flies. Grilse is more sensitive to dry weather. It's good to have rain on the Grilse. It can get low during dry season over the summer. Now the fishing here on the west coast is technical. You're using very small flies, you're fishing on the surface, and more like trout fishing for salmon.
The confidence of being able to see the fish, see fresh fish coming into the rivers, watch them running the waterfalls, the confidence that gives you, and the ability to learn about salmon fishing because you can see what your fly is doing, how your presentation affected the fish, how an alteration in speed of the fly affected the fish's aggressiveness towards the fly. It makes a vast difference, and that's why classically when I first went to Iceland, first went to Laxå and Grilse, Ásgeir Heider, who was the manager at that time, said, look, welcome to university.
Here in the south, southwest and the west coast, the runs are very consistent. This is where you come from big numbers and quality of fishing.
There we go.
The runs show up within about 2-3 weeks time frame. So we pretty much know when the prime is. But like I say, average weight in these rivers is maybe 5-6 pounds. Opposite to the rivers in the north, where we have bigger fish, but not in the same numbers. The good thing about the rivers here is the access, rather than actual traditional English salmon fishing. It requires what we call hitching, where you bring the fly up to the surface. We strip the fly a lot, and we use flies down to size 18, for example. by law, we can only fish each river for 90 days. That's by laws, and we can fish 12 hours a day, which we split into 2 6-hour sessions. For the first half of the season, we fish until 10 o'clock in the evening, and it doesn't get dark at all. But in the second half, we cut an hour off the lunch break, and we fish until 9. Most of our guests show up for 3 to 6 days, and they even split 3 days here and fish another river for 3 days, just to spread the risk, if you can say so.
I'm a great fan of Black St. Kjos. I'm a great fan of the upper beats, which are, they can be skinny. In low water they can be very skinny, and you have to really be very careful. In medium, high water, they're just fantastic. Individual pools, perfectly formed. You don't need to be told where to fish them. You just arrive, there's a neck, there's a classic belly of a pool, there's a tail out, and the fish are pretty aggressive when they're up there. When you come down into the centre of the river, you've got the meadows, and the meadows are S-bend, cut bank. You fish from the side of the deposition, the gravel deposition. Again, you can see the fish sitting in the pools. When the sea trout accumulate there, as they do in mid-July, you can target them with nymphs, dry flies. You can target them with small hitched tubes. You can target them with sun rays in the evening. Okay, we're creeping into a pool on the Bugda tributary of the Langa and Kjos. We've seen a couple of grilse jump. We're going to try and get them on a hitching tube. There we go, a fish just head and tailed right there by the rocks. I'm just going to watch for a moment. Now the first fish should be in line with us in the wet rocks. Over there. We just want to glide it across so it makes a little V-wake, which tends to make them quite aggressive. I'm going to get 4 or 5 meters of line out straight away to minimize the false casts. Deliberately not casting right the way across the pool, there's no need. We should be in the zone now. There he is, he had a look. No, he didn't take it. There he is. Okay, good. Good. Now we have no choice but to sort of stand over the top of the pool a little on Bugda. You can see now we're standing right above the drop-off, and he was just here. Nice fresh grilse. Very strong little fish. I think we're getting it now. She's starting to get tired. Come on, boy, let's get you back.
This river here, Langa, the name of it is Long River. We fish about 27 kilometers. We have 93 named pools, but in theory, there are probably about 200. We don't get that many big fish. Early spring runs do have bigger fish, but this is purely a Grilse river.
When I first went to Iceland, you had this curious mixture of people fly fishing, people fishing with worms, people fishing virtually any method, and of course it was seen as a harvest. It was a summer harvest. And then over the course of time you had a total shift to this much more sort of enlightened, if you like, view of it's okay to retain 1 or 2 fish and have a bit of smoked salmon or have a bit of gravidlax, but let's try and be sensible about it. Let's try and put a size limit and a numbers limit. So if people come for a week and they want to take a brace of small grilse back home, these are fish that have been 1 year feeding at sea and they might be 4, 5, 6 pounds, then fine. But they should put back the larger fish, particularly the female fish, because larger female fish carry so many eggs and can be so important for these systems.
The Langa has a dam to control the water, and that's a big factor here, so we can fish it until late season without having low water. The Langa has been fished by UK anglers since before 1900. In fact, the old lodge was built by English people. The new lodge was opened up in 1999. We've got 15 rooms, full service, and the syndicate of farmers here has been pretty active in developing the fishing. There are 3 salmon ladders in this river. The major one was built in 1964, and that opened up a completely new area of fishing.
People put nearly all of their fish back, which is great to see. People know how to handle fish. People take joy in putting them back. They take photographs quickly and carefully. The rivers are full of salmon. And whilst there are rivers that are 100% catch and release, all the rivers we deal with are fly only. On the whole, the rivers are getting healthier, not less healthy.
The fish here are very strong pound for pound, and the reason is that they have to travel quite a few waterfalls. This river has probably about 8 waterfalls overall, and they've got big tails because of this. In fact, this river starts on a waterfall. Mostly the lower section is, we have a small canyon. The access is very easy until you reach the upper falls, which is called Svedjefoss, which is the second biggest waterfall here. Easy access is the key factor for this river, and in fact for most of the West Coast rivers. Today we fish the river with 12 rods divided into 3 beats, and the top beat is actually the beat that salmon is relatively new to. It's pretty remote and on West Coast standards. Most of the rivers are shorter than this. It's quite an adventure to travel up there. You need a 4x4 car. The good thing about the Langa is that it has constant water levels. It has so many active pools that even though if you got 93 named ones, they're probably more like 200.
This is amazing, it's absolutely awesome.
And you pretty much have fish in every single one of them, which is a good thing because that means the pools don't get overfished. And every day you can go to a pool that really hasn't been fished even for days.
Just the simple fact of driving up to the northeast with the roads that very quickly become almost empty. I mean, I've actually spent up to 5 hours in the car and not seen a single car. You're in a most beautiful environment. You are in as close as you can get to wilderness.
Hafralonsa up in the northeast of Iceland. It's a serious adventure. This is possibly one of the most beautiful rivers in Iceland. You have huge pools, big fish, steep canyons, but some far more accessible pools as well. You don't have to be a fantastic fisherman, but you do have to be a fisherman who listens and is adaptable. It's a wilder experience. There's about 4 houses at the end of the road, lived in by the farmer, another 2 up the track, and that is it. You're here for a wild adventure with some epic fishing.
I've been out to Iceland before, and I've fished predominantly in the southwest of Iceland on Langa, but the fishing up here in the northeast, Hafralonsa, is very, very different, much more rugged terrain and just stunning rivers. And to my mind, more of an adventure. Very, very exciting, just getting in and out of the rivers.
Shorten up with the cast or just go from where we were?
Shorten up 2 metres, 2 metres.
Okay, will do.
Little tweak, you know, tiny Icelandic tweak. A half a metre longer. Okay, same again, but wait, don't proceed till I say go. Let it come, let it come, let it come, okay, go. Oh, here he comes, here he comes. Oh, here he comes. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, go again.
Brilliant, brilliant. That is so exciting.
Right, tiny tweak, tiny tweak. Wait, 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 okay.
Yeah.
You got the char.
Oh, it's the char! He's coming out.
You got the char.
There's a dozen salmon and we get the char. Not bad char. But he's coming out. Beautiful fish.
When you come here, make sure you pack every type of weather gear. It changes very quickly here. And every type of weather has its advantages and disadvantages. When we were at Hafralonsa, it was cold and a lot of rain, which again brings the spate rivers in, and you get fantastic fishing the moment the rivers start to drop, and they drop quickly, so you're not going to lose big chunks of your trip here. When the sun comes out, as you can see it has here, again it makes it very stimulating because you've got to be ultra stealthy. If you're reasonably fit and you've got a sense of adventure, I think the northeast offers just really a proper adventure with a fishing rod. Very wild places, spectacular scenery and great fishing. We spent our time at Hafralonsa in a lovely little lodge, just very comfortable. You can just kick back there and feel that you know, you're one of the family. It's a very, very pleasant place. I mean, Hafralonsa is quite a long river, I think about 40 kilometres. Great to feel that you've got a lot of room, that the pools are rested very well, and there's always something to look at while you're spending time in the truck. Hafralonsa has this little tributary, Grilse, which is a kind of an insurance policy because it's a little spate river, small but with some lovely deep holding pools, spectacular waterfall at the top, and when the river is out of sorts, it's certainly still fish to be caught in Hafralonsa, but that's your time to get into this Grilse, and you can target some really big fish by Icelandic standards.
Is that the one? Oh! That's a good fish. I mean, this is salmon fishing you dream of, I tell you. I had 2 pulls before this one too. But we've got to get that big one, Pete. I think we should target the big one. You've got the camera, fish, everything's in the net. Let me go have a really quick picture. Hold that if you can. Okay. Good. We're getting there. Now let's get the big one.
In the last 3 or 4 years, catch and release has become a vital part of the improvement and the success story that is now Hafralonsa. I've been very lucky. with my role, especially on the guiding side of things, in that I've guided some of the most beautiful rivers in the northeast, from Sella, Hafralonsa, and ultimately Hafralonsa. It's essential to have a guide. When I first went there, I found myself unable to work out at all where fish were likely to lie. You know, anything on a normal river, you'd think, no problem, holding point, and you fish through it, and there's nothing. And you think, that's not right. There's no easy option. You've got to have some direction, you've got to have a bit of inside knowledge. All the fish in the pools, you know that if you can see them, the chances are they can see you, so you've got to take it very gently, approach it with real care. The river's that short that they can run from the sea right up to the top foss within one day, so you get sea lice fish in the very top pool. As you come down through the canyon sections, there's a number of different pools that start to open out. Much easier to approach pools, there's much easier wading, and the fishing becomes more prolific. You'll find yourself fishing away, and you'll get out on a pool, and you'll have a few casts. The pressure reduces a little bit. It's getting towards the end of the day. You fish late into the evening. As you're fishing, you suddenly realise that the sunset is utterly magical, and that relaxation can often be a point where the fishing really turns on. A 20-pound fish is a fantastic opportunity on any river. Hafralonsa gives you that chance.
I have been to Iceland on a number of occasions and fished the Langa, the Grilse. But then when you come to the northern rivers, a completely different experience. Rugged, big, great canyons, just a whole different experience. I mean, where in the world can you go and fish a riffled hitch and see those fish come out of that glassy water and take that fly down? Absolutely fantastic, awesome. And it's a beautiful place to be. We ventured up to Svalbard Zone. Super, your own room, shower facilities, and a fantastic river. The adrenaline was pumping. When you catch one, there's nothing better in the world than catching one of those fish on a sunray or a riffled hitch. The guides are super. You need a little bit of guidance on fly choice, and they're there to help you cross the river, especially when you go in, as some of us did. And their support and help has been first class. I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it to anybody. The arrival at Reykjavik, the collection from the airport, somebody holding your name up, making it really easy. I came on my own, met a great group of people, made new friends, new contacts, and had a great time and a real laugh. The hotels, the food, and the care of choosing these locations, certainly a lot of effort goes into them. Flying up north, all the flights organised, everything went without a hitch. FlyFisherGroup, they were great. They came back with no end of options to suit my budget, my requirements, so I wouldn't hesitate to use them again.
The percentage of people who catch their first salmon in Iceland very quickly is very high. We try and make sure that clients' expectations are not just met, but exceeded. If I'm honest, the way to do that is to make sure that the trip you send someone on is a trip that you would love to be on yourself. I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't a bit of jealousy in most of the trips we organise. Every year we spend weeks and weeks in Iceland just making sure that things are going as we said they would. We've met an awful lot of our clients who have become friends, who we look forward to seeing year in, year out. We have a part of our business which will introduce so many more people to something that we love. It's a business we really enjoy.